Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Friday. I hope you are excited for a couple days of rest outside of school or work, wherever you are. My name is Quincy McCune, and I serve as our campus visit coordinator at Whitworth University. And with me today are two of our current students, two tour guides who are going to show you around our campus. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves really quickly, and then we will walk you through how you can interact with us, and then we'll get started. So Maria, can we start with you?
Yeah, so hello everybody. My name is Maria Rodriguez. I am a sophomore at Whitworth. I am studying business management and marketing, and I was actually a resident assistant for one of the residence halls at Whitworth.
Awesome. Thanks, Maria. Hannah, over to you.
Hi guys, my name is Hannah Mum. I am a junior here on campus. I live in Spokane Valley right now with my family. That's where I'm from. My majors are English and French, and then fun fact about me, I have a Willy Wonka costume.
I ask why you have a Willy Wonka costume.
My mom bought it for me in the second grade, but she bought it big so that I could always fit into it. So like now I still have it.
That's awesome. Well, we would love to hear a fun fact about you guys. So we're going to practice ways that you can interact with us right now. At the bottom of your screen, there should be three icons: chat, raise your hand, and Q&A. So in the chat right now, we would love for you to type in your first and last name, your hometown, and if you have a fun fact like Hannah's, feel free to incorporate that as well. Give you a couple of minutes to submit those in the chat. Great. Hi, Evelyn and Maddie. Looks like we have people from Iowa and Puyallup, Bridgeport, Gresham, Oregon. Awesome. We have a couple writers. People from Spokane, Lewiston, Idaho, Medical Lake. Excellent. Wonderful. Well, if you are just joining us, please type in your first and last name in the chat, as well as your hometown. And if you have a fun fact about yourself, we would love to hear that too. Okay, so the chat is one way you can interact with us. Raising your hand is another. So let's go ahead and practice that right now. Go ahead and raise your hand if you are really excited it's Friday. Great. Excellent. Now go ahead and raise your hand if you are a parent or a guardian on this webinar with us today. Great, looks like we have 3 or 4 parents with us. You guys, we're glad that you are here. You are just as important as your student in this college search process. And last but not least is our Q&A function. And this is going to be the most helpful function for you. If you have questions about Whitworth, any part of the process, doesn't have to be admissions related. It can be about athletics, or if you want to hear specifically from Hannah or Maria, you can type a question to them at any point in the tour. We'll be stopping and starting so that you can get your questions answered. We will either type a response back to you. We have one of our admissions counselors, Tess, on the call as well, but we'll most likely be answering those questions live. So I am going to share my screen with you so you can see our campus virtually. Now, by raise of hands, how many of you have actually been to our campus and have taken a campus tour before in person? Okay, looks like 5 out of our 33 participants have actually taken a campus tour in person. For the rest of you, I'm really glad you're here. Even though we're not on campus together, I think this is a really great way for you to hear a little bit about who we are and to see the campus as best as we can in these in this quarantine time. So I'm going to turn off my camera and I'm going to pass it over to our tour guides. Maria, would you tell us a little bit about where we are right now and kick off this tour?
For sure. Okay, so we are looking at this area, which is called the Loop. And a lot happens in the Loop. We have students that like to come out and play Frisbee or volleyball, soccer, whatever it may be. So there's a lot of activity that happens here. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of sidewalks that are connected to the rest of campus. So you can walk to and from. And It's near the library, different buildings, and also the hub, which we will get into a little later in the tour. But as we can see, two sidewalks that are parallel to each other, that is known as the Hello Walk. And it's just known as a Hello Walk because it's very difficult to walk past people, your peers, professors, and other staff, and not say hello to them. So it's just a nice little thing, and we have flower baskets there, which are beautiful. And a lot, like I mentioned, happens at the Loop. We have freshman orientation that happens here, so you'd be spending a lot of time there at the beginning of the school year, and it's just a fun and great time. So as you can see, we have a lot of trees, and students like to come out here and hammock. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can definitely do that at the Loop.
Thanks, Maria. And
Yeah.
we have something called the Little Three. Could you tell us about the Little Three and maybe some other things that you might see happening in the Loop?
Yeah, of course. So I want to test out the raise of hands too, and I want to see if any of you know what the Little Three actually is. Great, yeah, so it seems like only two of us actually know what it actually is, so that's great. So the Little Three is the three things that you're supposed to do by your senior year, so by the time you're gonna graduate. So the first thing is getting hit in the head by a frisbee. So, like I mentioned, it's a very active place in the Loop, so it shouldn't be very difficult, right? But I'm constantly dodging them, and I don't think I'm ever gonna make it. The second one is catching a virgin pine cone. So we have a ton of trees, and students like to sit under the trees and read, or not necessarily climb them, but run to a tree as soon as they hear the rattling of a pine cone. So it honestly should be a sport on campus. And the third thing is to break a plate in the dining hall. So yeah, those are the three little things that you are supposed to complete by your senior year.
Hannah, have you completed any of the Little Three?
I have not completed any of the Little Three, but I really want to catch a virgin pine cone. So if I don't do it by next spring, I'm going to camp out under a tree and I won't leave until I catch my virgin pine cone.
A lot of people, when they catch their pine cone, will put it in a shadow box or spray paint it gold because it really is that important to our Whitworth students. Awesome. Well, one thing I forgot to mention, you guys, is the order of which we are showing you around campus is the exact order that we would be showing you as if we were actually on campus taking a tour together. So we are going to go to Robeson Science Hall next. Hannah, tell us a little bit about this building.
Yeah, so this is Robeson Science Center. It's one of the newest buildings on campus. It opened in 2011 and it is an environmentally sustainable design. So right now what you're seeing on the left, those are professors' offices, which are really close to the classrooms, which are just on the other side of that wall, which is actually a really unusual design for a university classroom building. Usually you'll have the classrooms in one building and then the offices in the next building, and that was originally in the plan for Robeson, but the professors wanted to be close to the students so badly that they conglomerated the offices to be closer to the classroom. One story I think that really represents the relationship that Whitworth students are able to have with their professors is, so when I was a freshman, I had taken some French classes in high school. And so I was in an upper division French class with some older students, and I was so intimidated by them because they were really nice and everything, but they were also really smart. And so one day I went into my professor's office just crying. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And she was like, Hannah, sit down. And she took out a Dove chocolate bar and she gave it to me. And I'm sitting there eating the chocolate and she helped me with my homework. And long story short, I got an A in that class and we're still friends. So that's just one quick little story about one of my favorite professors at Whitworth. So this building is home to our biology, chemistry, health science, and biochemistry departments. We do have anatomy and physiology labs on campus, as well as a human cadaver lab. So because the student faculty ratio is 11-1 at Whitworth, you'll get to have, if you're a science student, and even if you're not, but lots of interaction with faculty in the lab settings, lots of hands-on learning experience. Do you guys have any questions about Robeson?
Feel free to submit questions at any time. By show of hands, I would love to know how many students are on this call who are interested in biology, chemistry, health sciences, athletic training. Excellent. Wonderful. Hannah, one question that I have for you is, are all the classes held in this building specific to sciences, or will you see a variety of other classes happening in Robeson Science Hall?
Nice. So one of my favorite things about Whitworth is that just because you're a science student doesn't mean that you're going to have all of your science courses in either Robeson Science Center or our second science building, Eric Johnston. I've had, for example, an international relations course in this building. So you'll get to switch around where you're having classes, and it's really nice because that way you'll get to interact with students from other departments and faculty from other departments as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Hannah. Don't hesitate to send in those questions. Oh, here we go. We actually have one coming in. Hannah, the question is, this student has heard that classrooms are open at all times for students to study. Is that true?
I have not tested that theory. You would probably know if all the classrooms were open better than I would, but I can say that I have never had a problem finding some place to study, even if I've gone out to the library or to even Robeson late at night. There's always going to be a place to study.
Yeah, our academic buildings are kept open very late to accommodate for college students' sleeping schedules, which parents is pretty unbalanced, I would say, for the first couple of years, but they figure it out. And Hannah and Maria, I'm sure at some point we'll get to how you balance your schoolwork and your sleep and your social life. But as long as the academic building is open, the classroom is available to you. Once you become a student, you will have the ability to reserve rooms on campus. So if you wanted a specific classroom to host a study group session, you'll be able to reserve that room on our Pirate portal. Is the system that it's called, but you don't need to know that right now. All that will become clear in a little bit. Excellent. Thanks for your question, Calista. Okay, well, our next stop on the tour is one of our residence halls. And as the resident assistant in our tour today, I'm going to have Maria walk us through Oliver Hall, and we're going to start in the lounge.
Great, so welcome to Oliver Hall. So we are in the lounge right now, and it has a beautiful building it has a beautiful view to the back 40, as we can see. It's just a great place to be. So some things that you can expect would be like a kitchen, a laundry room, multiple lounges, and the floors, and a piano, a little fireplace, a ping pong table or pool table, and different things like that. So that's just some things that you could expect from there. But just as we talked about the little three, I also want to talk about the big three. So the big three are the three things that you should not do. And the first thing is no disturbance of the peace. So that includes violence, no violence, and just something that I like to say is like, you wouldn't typically go writing on walls or banging pans or different things like that. So it's just behavior that we don't allow at Whitworth. And the second thing would be no cohabitation. So no long extended hours of the night spending in a room with someone that you are in a romantic relationship with. And the third thing would be that we are a dry campus. So no drugs, no alcohol, even if we are of legal age. It's something that is just not tolerated. So those are the three things that we should not do.
Thanks for sharing that, Maria. While we are in the lounge, would you mind talking a little bit about some of the activities that happen in the lounges every day in our residence halls?
Yes, so we have these activities called Prime Time, which happen every single night from 8 to 10 p.m. And they are led by our resident assistants or CMC, so campus ministry coordinators, or other students in leadership, or even residents that are that live in different buildings. So These activities include, sometimes we bring in puppies specifically around like finals because it's a very great stress reliever. Sometimes we make pancakes and read Bible verses, or sometimes we play musical instruments. So it just really depends. We just have a whole variety of different activities that happen every single night, and you can go from building to building. You just have to stay in the building that you live in. So it's a great way to build community and get to know other people from different majors, but also different buildings.
Hannah, do you have any fun primetime memories from your first couple years on campus?
Oh my goodness. I think a lot of my favorite memories have a common theme of free food. So I remember that my RA would always make brownies on, I think it was Tuesdays, and we'd all come out and we'd share, we'd call them happies and crappies. So we would share one happy thing about our day and one crappy, and then we'd get a brownie, and we'd sit by the fireplace and eat brownies. It was fantastic.
That sounds awesome. I love to hear that. Thank you. Okay, Maria, well, we're gonna head up to a room. So would you explain a little bit about what's provided, maybe some tips as students are thinking about what they should bring to college?
Of course. So this is what a typical room in Oliver looks like. And they're not all going to be the same, but some furniture that you can expect would be some dressers, a wardrobe, your bed, so the bed frame and the mattress, which the bed, you can actually lower it, as I think this bed is lowered, or you can also raise it to as high as you want. Or you can stack them, bunk them, whatever the case may be, whatever you think is best for you. And you could also expect a desk and a chair. But personally, what I did was I would raise my bed so I can have more storage, and then I can fit like a mini fridge under there. So a mini fridge is just very convenient, so you don't have to put all of your groceries or drinks or snacks in the main fridge for the entire building. So that's just a little tip. You can also bring like a microwave or a coffee maker if you are a big coffee drinker. So this is just a little tip there. Yeah, and you can totally personalize this as the boys did in this room, bring in posters and different things like that. Definitely make it feel homey.
Awesome, thank you. Maria, we have some questions coming in. Can you tell us what year of students live in Oliver?
Yeah, so Oliver and most of the buildings on campus, the students that live there are freshmen all the way up to seniors. So you can come in here as a freshman, or other buildings we have specifically for only freshmen, which would be Baldwin Jenkins and Stewart. And then the other building that we have that's class specific would be from sophomores all the way up to seniors, and that would be Bopal. But other than that, all the other buildings, we have a mix of freshmen all the way up to seniors.
Awesome, thanks, Maria. And we have another question. What years do students have to live in dorms? And the answer to that is, if you are 2 years or less out of high school, we do have a 2-year live-on requirement. So if you're a current high school senior, we require you to stay on campus for your freshman and sophomore year. I really think that's a beneficial thing to our students. It really helps develop that sense of community. Hannah, as a student who's from Spokane, maybe by show of hands, first of all, how many students on this webinar live close to or in Spokane? Okay, actually a decent amount. Hannah, would you talk about what it was like going to college in your hometown? I think your house is what, maybe 35, 40 minutes away? Yeah, go ahead and share your experience if you don't mind.
Yeah, so where I live is about 40 minutes away from campus, and in the valley and up north are two completely different worlds, in my opinion. So it was nice because I knew that my family was close by, and I will admit that I did laundry there a fair amount of times. But it also felt like I was getting to experience, the college experience. It felt like I was getting to connect with people on campus like I had wanted to be, and a big part of that was because I was living in the residence halls and connecting with people in that environment.
Thanks for sharing that, Hannah. We have a question about how many students are in each room. Is it usually 2, or does that number change based on which residence hall you live in? Maria, you can go ahead and answer that question.
So it just depends on the room. We do have singles, we have doubles, so for 2 people, or triples for 3 people. So it just really depends. Every single residence hall has different sized rooms, so singles, doubles, and triples. And it just depends on what room you are put in. Depends how many people there are.
Great, thank you. We have, we'll do one more question, then we'll move on, but rest assured, you guys, I promise we'll get your questions answered. I think the question is asking about curfew or quiet hours. So can you talk about what that looks like on campus? Do we have curfews? How are those rules set in place?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the semester, we all gather, so everyone from the building gathers in the lounge, and we kind of make our own rules because we are adults and it is our place where we live in, right? So you get to choose kind of quiet hours. So when is it too late to play the piano? Then you guys kind of set that time. Maybe midnight, it wouldn't be the best time to do that. Also visitation hours. So when is it too late for you to bring in your friends? Maybe 1 a.m. wouldn't be the correct time. So you guys all gather together and we kind of just make those rules together. And that's also something that you can talk about with your roommate, because we also have this thing called roommate agreement. So you kind of just say like, hey, this is kind of what is expected of both of us. And no, we do not have curfews. You can't get into another residence hall, the one residence hall that you don't live in. You can't get into them, I believe, after 11. But other than that, you can go into your residence hall whenever you need to. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. I know some of you have questions about other halls or wanting to see single rooms. We are going to move on with the tour, but this virtual tour is available online to you. And I'll show you over here in the pane. If you scroll down, you can have access to all of the halls that we offer. The residence hall that has the majority of single rooms is the Village, and you can go on our website and type in the Village and it will pop up with some photos and some information for you there. But we are going to head out of Oliver and go to our Hickson Union building. Hannah is going to tell us about the hub. Go ahead, Hannah, as I'm getting there on the screen.
Yeah, so like Quincy was saying, the Hickson Union building, we give it the loving acronym of the hub because it's the hub, it's the central place where a lot of things are happening on campus. So a quick survey of the services in the hub. Right in front of you, you can see the multi-purpose room. So the multi-purpose room sometimes we'll use for events like the International Festival, which is always really fun. Sometimes we'll have guest speakers come and talk there. Most recently, the one that I went to most recently was Bob Woodward, who came, and he's the reporter who broke the Watergate stories. That was really cool to get to listen to him. You can see a little bit in there. That's the Mind and Hearth coffee shop. We call it Mind and Hearth because there's lots of minds and there's also a hearth. Big theme at Whitworth. There's always a fireplace close by. One of my favorite parts about Mind and Hearth is a program called Dine with a Mind. So every semester, every student gets a budget to invite a professor out to get coffee with them, which is like the best of both worlds, right? Because you get like your free tea and then you also get to chat with your professor about whatever it is. And I think, as I've kind of mentioned earlier with my story about my French professor giving me chocolate and chatting with me, the professors are one of the best parts of Whitworth, in my opinion. They really care about getting to know the students, and we all think they're really cool. And so it's a great relationship that we're able to have with our professors here. All right, you can kind of see some of the post boxes, the postal boxes. Every student on campus does get a post box. Great place to receive care packages. We've also got the dining hall in here, which, oh, nice. Yeah, this is the dining hall. I lived off campus this year, and let me tell you, I missed the food so bad. So over on the left side here, you can see the Global Connections part of the dining hall. That's where they'll do things like, sometimes they'll do Korean tacos or Taco Tuesday, or they'll do pasta. There's also always pizza. There's always vegan and gluten-free options, as well as a bar for any students who have dietary restrictions. Whitworth is very accommodating with that. We serve 3 meals a day, as well as late night. That I think late night opens at 9 o'clock. Is that right, Maria? 9 o'clock? Okay, I'm getting tentatively 9 o'clock. I haven't been in a while. And then on the left side, you can kind of see where we do we have a salad bar there. We have a sandwich bar. That's where you would go for cereal. Like main courses would be there. And there is the drinks, and you can see the green box. That is where you put away your dishes. All right, so a couple of my favorite parts of the hub would be the bookstore, which I don't believe I've talked about yet. We love the bookstore. One cool thing that they do is they price match with Amazon textbooks. So if you find your textbook is cheaper on Amazon, then they're willing to honor that, which is really, really neat. Oh, there it is, you can see it. We've also got career services upstairs. So career services will help you with professional headshots. They will help you with career guidance. I've used that myself plenty of times. They'll give you mock interviews and give you pointers on how to improve. And they'll also help guide you with internships. So I've had quite a few internships through Whitworth, and career services has been really helpful in helping me find those internships and succeed within them.
Thanks, Hannah. We have a question about taking to-go meals from the dining hall. Is that an option for students?
Yes, that is an option for students. One thing you can do is you can order a sack lunch to be delivered to you outside of the dining hall. And you can also go to either we have a grill, we have a sandwich shop, and a soup bar that is outside of the dining hall. So with every meal plan, for the most part, comes a certain amount of flex dollars, which is what we call the money that you'll use to buy things at the grill and at the sandwich bar. So you're welcome to go there too if you're kind of on the go.
Great, thank you. Another question is, what kind of food does our dining service provide? I know you touched on this a little bit, and Maria, feel free to jump in here too. What have been some of the variety of foods that you've seen made available to students?
So I will just go off a list of my favorites. I think that the potato products are always good. I miss them a lot, so that's what I always start with. They'll always do breakfast, so on Fridays they'll do omelets. They always have eggs, some kind of potato, sausage usually. They'll do soups. They do a really good chili. Taco Tuesdays I love. What else? They've done Ethiopian food. They've done luau's. Gosh, what else? They do some mac and cheese, meatloaf, pork chops. What are your favorites, Maria?
I think my favorite is when they bring in tamales, because I just personally love tamales and I think they're great. So yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite foods. But like Hannah mentioned, their breakfast is so good.
I agree. I haven't been a student there for quite some time, but any chance I get to have a breakfast in our dining hall, I jump on that chance. And just to highlight again, I think our dining company, Sodexo, does an excellent job of providing a variety of meals every day for our students. So we always encourage our students, try something new. This is a fun time where you can get a plate of it, and if you don't like it, your friend sitting next to you can finish it for you, and then you can just go back and get a different plate. Tess Abbott, one of our admissions counselors, wrote in the chat that her favorite is the shelf of hot sauces that we provide. It is full of so many different kinds of sauces for you guys. We also have a variety of breads and cereals and milks available to accommodate for all types of preferences. And we only have one dining hall for all the residence halls on campus. So the hall that you just saw is our only dining hall on campus. What you can't see right now is kind of where this grate is on the right side of your screen is where our cafe is. And that's what Hannah was talking about earlier. So in there, there's a Jamba Juice, the equivalent of a Subway, a grill, Ben & Jerry's ice cream, little Starbucks drinks to go. So there are additional food options here, as well as our coffee shop. But we find that there's plenty of space in our dining hall to accommodate for all of our students. Okay, thank you so much for taking us through the dining hall, Hannah. We are going to move on to, I believe we are going to the library next. Hannah, would you continue telling us about the library?
Sure. So as an English major, someone who studies books, right, the library is one of my favorite places to be because they have obviously a lot of books. A few cool resources about the library. We have something called the Writing Compositions Commons. So students studying any discipline can bring in their papers, their research at any point in time, and they can receive free assistance from some student consultants on improving their project. They can also, we have a staff of really awesome, really helpful librarians who are willing to help you with your research. Personalized help is available there. We are part of a consortium of 38 other libraries. So if for some reason you cannot find the book that you were looking for in our library, you can get it shipped to you from one of the 38 other universities. And I've done that before, and it's always been like very timely and very helpful. There's a sheet music library if anybody is interested in music. And I will also take this time to talk about the Student Success Center, which is not located in the library, but it is a really cool resource for you to know about. So the Student Success Center is where you can go to get academic resources and strategies to succeed. And if you attend meetings at the Student Success Center, your GPA is actually 100% guaranteed to improve. They're basically students who are helping you kind of bridge the worlds of academic and student life. So you're learning like what learning styles benefit you the most and how to study most effectively. So students that have gone there have found that really helpful.
Great, thank you, Hannah. And just so you guys know, this is the first floor of our library. Upstairs are additional study rooms, additional computer labs. All students are given an allotment of printing money to use in any of our academic buildings. So you do not need to bring your own printer to campus. You can if you want to. My personal opinion would be not to do that because it kind of takes up some space in your room. And there's a printer in every residence hall and in every academic building. So we got you covered there. Okay, Maria, we're gonna head over to your building next. This is Weyerhaeuser Hall. And Maria spends a lot of time here as a business major. So Maria, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, guys, so welcome to Weyerhaeuser Hall. We are taking a look straight ahead to Robeson Teaching Theater. And so Weyerhaeuser is home to history and the history department and the School of Business. So if you are interested in either of those majors, you would be spending quite a bit of the time in this building. But as Hannah mentioned earlier in Robeson Science Center, we have a mixture of classes in here too. So you're not just going to spend all 4 years in this building, which is great. You get a little experience everywhere else. So we are going to go ahead and go straight into probably our biggest sized classroom. So typically we have classrooms here, but this room serves purpose for a lot of different things. So we have a core program and it consists of 3 classes. So first we got Core 150, which is kind of a worldview, and then Core 250, which is more of epistemology, and Core 350, which is more about policy. So like what it is that we know and how we are going to apply that into the real world. And so this is going to be, like I mentioned, the biggest class typically that you are going to take at Whitworth. As Hannah mentioned earlier, we do have a faculty to student ratio 11:1. 80% of our classes are 30 students or less. But even though you are going to have a bigger class, we do offer discussion groups within those classes. So you meet once a week with 15 students total, and you guys kind of discuss the content that you learned throughout the week. So even though it is a bigger classroom, you're still with the professor and a group of students and getting that interaction in. but this room serves as guest speakers come in here and they talk to us, or even the gaming club, we like to come in here and play Mario Kart. So, you know, this room is full of fun, but also a lot of learning.
Thanks, Maria. Hannah, do you have any stories or significant memories from your experience in the core program? Have you taken those classes, and what's been your favorite one?
Yeah, I've taken Core 150 and 250. I haven't taken 350 yet. One of my favorite memories from 250, I took it with a professor named Leonard Oakland. He's kind of a legend around Whitworth. He's in his 80s and he's been here for forever and he's still rocking. He's awesome. So I had a discussion group with Leonard, and one day we were in the classroom talking about, I think it was Mary Wollstonecraft, and he just gets up and he's like, I'm done being in the classroom today. Come on, you guys, I'm going to buy you all coffee. So he took us over to Mind and Hearth and he bought all of us coffee. And so we were just sitting there sipping our drinks and talking about Mary Wollstonecraft some more. It was awesome.
Great, thanks for sharing that, Hannah. Also in Weyerhaeuser, we have something called our Dornsife Center for Community Engagement. Unfortunately, this is as close as we can get to it. It's down this hall to the left and the right. It takes place in both of these wings. And the Dornsife Center for Community Engagement really emphasizes the importance that Whitworth places on students serving on campus and also in the Spokane community. Part of our mission statement is to honor God, follow Christ, and serve humanity. And the Dornsife Center really focuses on that serving humanity aspect. So one of the main events that the Dornsife Center puts on is Community Building Day, which is required for all first-year students. And it's optional for upperclassmen, but oftentimes we see a high percentage of our students participating. I'd love to hear from Maria and Hannah. Can you guys share a little bit about your experience with Community Building Day and what you remember from it?
Yeah, so I did it freshman year and also sophomore year, and it's just a great time. You get to go basically all over Spokane, depends wherever your group is placed, and you get to serve to the community, and it's great. You get to learn more about people, you get to build relationships with them. I learned how to clean a garden. I've never done that before, believe it or not. And yeah, I figured there was a lot of bugs in dirt, but it was great because I built new relationships with people. So yeah, it's a fun time.
Thanks. Hannah, what about you?
My favorite community building day, I think, was my freshman year, and we went to a high school called On Track Academy, which kind of uses different learning styles, integrates different learning styles into the high school experience. And we, with the high school students there was a big pile of stuffed animals, and we were like reimagining stuffed animals and inventing new ones, right? So the job, we were like cutting off different parts of the stuffed animals and like sewing them back together. And it sounds kind of creepy when I talk about it like this, but it was so much fun. It was a blast.
That's awesome. Great. Thank you, guys. Well, as we're talking about community, that's a word that you're going to hear a lot as you are looking for colleges, and it's definitely a buzzword on our campus. But I think it's really important to understand what we mean by community. And I don't think we could talk about community without talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and making sure that all students, faculty, and staff on our campus feel known, welcome, loved, and valued. So I want to highlight our Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It's not in Weyerhaeuser, but it's an important program to talk about. And I'm going to ask Maria and Hannah to share their experience with some of the events that have been put on by this office. But this most recent incoming freshman class, 50% of our students came from either they were a first generation student, international student, or a student of color. And we are so excited to see those numbers grow every year because we really value what our students bring to our campus, regardless of where you're from, your socioeconomic status. It really creates a rich learning environment, and we are excited to celebrate that. One of the ways that we do that in the residence halls is through our cultural diversity advocates. This is a student leadership position, somewhat similar to a campus ministry coordinator or a resident assistant. They live in the halls, and they are employed by the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion to help build connections between students from different countries or cultures. So I would love for Hannah and Maria to share some of your experiences about events that you have gone to or things that you've learned by being in a setting full of people who are different than you.
Yeah, so one of my favorite events that the Intercultural Student Center puts on would be Top Chef. So we as college students and as humans, we just love food and also learning about other people. And so Top Chef, we are allowed to share our culture and food that we build in our culture, and well, that we make, not build, that we make in our culture, and we just share it with other people. And it's just a great way to learn and to teach one another. So it's just so much fun. And the other event, super quickly, I'm just going to talk about it, is the luau. It's an annual event that happens, and it's just so much fun. Everyone's so interactive, high energy, and the Hawaiian Club puts that on. So it's just so fun. But yeah, it's just great.
I'm glad that you brought up the luau, Maria. We actually have a question coming in. And the question is, have you heard of experiences from people that live in Hawaii or who are from Hawaii and their experience at Whitworth? And I think the luau is one of those events that we put on every year that all students love, but particularly our students from Hawaii. And we have quite a large number of students from Hawaii that come every year. Unfortunately, we were not able to have our luau this year due to the coronavirus, but it's open to all of our campus and also the Spokane community, and it's a packed out event every year. Hannah, would you mind sharing some of your experiences with our Intercultural Student Center?
Yeah, sure. So I think I mentioned the International Festival earlier when we were in the hub walking by the multi-purpose room. I love the International Festival. That's a time when the international students will present something from their culture, like it might be a dance or it might be a song, something like that, but the room is always packed. There's always a lot of support there. I think my very favorite, though, is the Diversity Monologues event that students put on each year. So there are dozens of students who work with students in the writing composition commons to submit entries into Diversity Monologues, and every year there are about 9 to 10 who present in our auditorium in front of the student body. And like Maria was saying with the other events, super high energy, very fun. All of the applicants, I have all of my collection of Diversity Monologues here. They get printed in this little chapbook here, and students get to hang on to those. So I've got a collection. Yeah, and then we always get a moderator, a commentator who is, I think last year we had a spoken word poet. They're always really cool, and they always interact with our student bodies and really our student body in really unique and fun ways.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you sharing your stories. We're going to move on to our art building next, and Maria is going to walk through what you can find in our Lead Center for the Visual Arts. Give me just a second to find it over here. My eyes are kind of fading over. There we go. Here it is.
Great. So yes, this is the Lead Center, which is the art building on campus. And just super quickly, as we can see, some of the artwork that is displayed on the walls is actually all student work. And it just kind of blows my mind every single time I walk in through that building. Students on campus are truly super talented. So the first, oh yes, thank you, Quincy, for circling that. But for the first floor in this building, we have more of the 2D art, so more of painting, drawing, so like oil painting and mask making, graphic design, more of that. And then the bottom floor, so the second floor, or I guess it would be just the bottom floor, would be more of the 3D, so more like pottery, so something more that's hands-on. And so I don't know if many of you know, but we have a semester, a very short and very accelerated semester called Jan term, which only goes on for 3 weeks. And it's a perfect time for you to take those classes like PE or your art credit, and that way you can take it for those 3 weeks and you can do ceramics for those 3 weeks. Or what I did was drawing, and it was just a great time for me to learn a new skill, because we are a liberal arts school and we are required to take classes from different subjects and things like that. So it's just a great way to take advantage of that little short and fast semester.
Thanks for explaining, Janta and Maria. We also have a art gallery in this building that if you're a senior and you're an art major, you'll have your senior project displayed in our gallery. We also open this up to local and regional artists. It's over here in the corner of your screen where these double doors are. But we want to make sure that art is a big part of who we are, and we tell awesome stories through that way, through that medium. So that is our art building. We are going to move on to our University Recreation Center, and Hannah is going to explain this facility for us. Hannah, take it away.
Nice. So like Quincy said, this is the University Recreation Center. You right now are looking at the climbing wall. This was one of the first places I visited on campus when I came to stay overnight. They had an event going on called Awkward Middle School Dance, where you dressed up as an awkward middle schooler, and we danced in that climbing wall space. So it will forever hold a special place in my heart. So here we've got the indoor track, we've got the exercise equipment down there, we've got the treadmills. There are 3 half-length courts where we do, they're equipped for badminton, soccer, pickleball, volleyball, basketball, and a lot of our intramural sports take place down there. So if you are interested in playing a sport, but you don't necessarily know if you want to commit to that at a collegiate level, we do have intramural sports that are a great way to get involved and meet new people. We have something called the Outdoor Recreation Program that's run through the UREC. So if you want to go whitewater rafting, let's say, or mountain biking, or snowshoeing, skiing, snowboarding, there's a team of students who are planning those activities throughout the course of the year. So you can go on a trip over the weekend, or sometimes there are long weekends. We have spring break trips going out sometimes. So those are a really great way to get to go experience the outdoors with Whitworth students. There are also dance lofts and yoga lofts, not in this building, but in another in the field house, which is another one of our athletic buildings. And another cool thing about this building is that you can rent equipment here for really good prices too. So in the past, for example, you can get a paddle board for $14 for the whole weekend, which is incredible for a paddle board. Our neighbors one time rented a tandem bike for the day, which, I mean, I've never been on a tandem bike. I would be interested in maybe sitting in the back and having somebody else steer the tandem bike, but that's just a little sampler of what you can get at the UREC.
Thank you, Hannah. By show of hands, how many people on this webinar are interested in playing a varsity sport? Okay, those hands are going up. I want to take just a few minutes to talk about our athletic programs. Whitworth is a NCAA Division III university. We play in the Northwest Conference, and we have won the Northwest Conference All Sports Trophy for the past 12 years in a row, which should be a testament to just the high quality of our athletic programs. We have 21 varsity sports, women's lacrosse being our newest. And we really love the relationship that our student athletes have with their coaches and their professors. We want to make sure that we emphasize that our student athletes are students first and then athletes. You need to be successful in the classroom in order to be successful on the field. And we understand that sometimes you need to leave courses to go travel for games. So oftentimes you will see your coaches proctoring exams in the lobby of the hotel room that you're staying at when you are going away for games. 20% of our student body are actually athletes. So you will most likely know a lot of people who are competing in our athletic events. Maybe it's your roommate, maybe it's your biology lab partner, or the person who sits next to you in your ensemble or choir. So this is a big part of who we are, and we are a very spirited school. And if you're not on an athletic team, We really encourage support for not only athletics, but any event that you see happening on campus, whether it's speech and debate tournaments or our theater or our music programs. We want to be as much of a supportive campus as possible. We have a question about the distance of the indoor track and the hours of the rec center. I'll tell you that the distance for the track is you have to go around it 10 times to equal 1 mile. The hours are specific to the semester, and I can't quite remember them off the top of my head. Hannah or Maria, do you guys remember the UREC hours? If not, that's okay, we can look it up.
I think they open at 6 in the morning and they close around 10 p.m., but it depends on the day. It's different on the weekends and on the weekdays.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I know they also change for breaks or spring breaks. They might have more limited hours as well. One thing that I will notice as we close out our athletic section is there is a building that is actually not pictured on here because it's brand new. So over here where my mouse is if you go on campus now, you will see our brandly new constructed Athletic Leadership Center. We are going to house all of our coaches' offices in this building and just kind of have a hub for our student athletes and our athletic programs. Right now, they're all kind of scattered around through campus in different academic buildings. So we're really thankful to have this center for our student athletes and our athletic programs. Okay, well, we are going to head across the field and go to our Beeksma Family Theology Center. Hannah, would you mind taking us through this building?
Yeah, guys, so this is the Beeksma Family Theology Center. This is home to our theology department as well as our campus ministry and our Office of Church Engagement. So this space that you're seeing right here, this is the sanctuary. We've got tons of opportunities that Whitworth offers for students to grow in their faith. And a lot of those take place here in the sanctuary, so I'll go over a couple of those. We do have chapel services at 11 o'clock to 11:45 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they are completely optional. That being said, we don't have any classes scheduled during that time, so all students are available to go to chapel services. We also have kind of like a contemporary worship style called Hosanna on Tuesday nights, and the chairs will be cleared out. Students will be standing up and singing, and those are led by student worship teams for the most part. So if you're interested in getting involved in music, that's one really great way to plug in. We also have something called Awake, and that's more of kind of a small group kind of a style, as well as there are about 1 million Bible studies run out of here as well if you're looking to get involved in one of those. Sometimes we'll also do, if we have a guest speaker who's maybe studies theology or is social justice oriented, sometimes they will speak in this space as well. So students do not have to be Christian. We are welcoming of students from all backgrounds. Professors do sign a statement of faith, professing the Christian faith to teach on campus here. Whitworth being a liberal arts university, we do have a lot of we do have a lot of opportunities for students to take classes in all sorts of disciplines, including theology. We do ask that students take 3 credits or 1 class of biblical literature. So there are all sorts of really cool classes for that. I took Women in the Bible. There are like the Bible for Doubters. There's Letters of Paul. So all sorts of different unique courses to take with biblical literature here.
Oops, I was muted that whole time. Sorry. Here we go. We have a question coming in asking what percentage of students attend chapel. We don't have well, at least I don't have the actual percentage. Since it's not something that we require, we're not taking attendance. However, as Hannah mentioned, our chapel services are usually standing room only, and they are really packed. And this sanctuary seats about 325 people. And we did some construction on it last summer to be able to expand it a little bit. So envision this room totally packed on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, and for our Hosanna services on Tuesday nights. I hope that answers your question. We also have a question asking if there's a Sunday morning service on campus. Hannah, would you mind answering that as well?
Yeah, so there is not a Sunday morning service in this building specifically. However, there is a church that's, I don't know, maybe like 2 minutes walking distance away from campus called Whitworth Presbyterian, and they do have Sunday services there, and they actually have quite a few times as well if you're interested in more of a traditional service versus a contemporary service. There's also a lot of churches around Spokane, so you're welcome to attend those as well. But to answer your question, yes, there is a Sunday school, or there is a Sunday service really close to Whitworth's campus.
And the reason why we don't offer a Sunday service through our chapel is because we want to encourage students to be a part of the Spokane community and not just the Whitworth community. So we actually have a church fair that happens at the beginning of every year where we invite local churches, pastors, worship leaders, youth pastors to come to campus and interact with our students. So you'll see students church shopping and carpooling to go try out different churches the first 2 months of school. Great questions, you guys. All right, we have one more building to see, and then we will take any of your questions. We are going to go to our music center. Maria, go ahead and walk us through our music building.
Great. Welcome to our music building, guys. So on the left side was actually what the original music building used to be, and then we added on to it. So there was construction in 2016, and now the building has more than doubled the size. So that means now we have large rehearsal rooms. We have 23 practice rooms, which you are able to kind of write your name in and be like, okay, you can reserve the room. That's the word I was looking for. You can reserve the practice room and you can go in there and practice whatever piano or another instrument that you are trying to work on. So it's just a great place to be, really. It's so beautiful. So both sides of the building are actually connected. So we have classrooms, and like I mentioned, this is actually one of our rehearsal rooms. So and you got beautiful view of campus. I don't know, all of campus is just so beautiful. But you do not have to be required, you are not required to be a music major to be a part of band or choir. So if that is something that you're interested in, then go ahead and go for it. Some of them you are required to audition for, and students are also granted scholarships through different programs as such. So if you're interested in choir or jazz band or orchestra or concert band, wind symphony, then this would be probably one of the places where you would spend most of your time in.
Great, thanks, Maria. When I was a student, I was involved in the women's choir and was not a music major, but I really loved being a part of that group of women. For music majors, or people who are involved in the choir or ensembles, we have study away and study abroad opportunities. Unfortunately, those trips had to get canceled this year due to the coronavirus, but we're hoping to get those rescheduled. We have a question coming in asking if practice rooms are open 24/7. If not, what are the hours? They're not open 24/7, but it's pretty close. On every single practice room, there will be a sign-up sheet. I believe it starts as early as 6, and it depends on the semester, depends on the day, but I've seen them be open as late as 12:30 a.m. or 1 a.m. But I would say on average, it's usually 11:30 to midnight. But again, the hours vary depending on what's going on campus. We have another question asking, how do you sign up for music programs? And I'm assuming that question means, how do you get involved in choirs and ensembles? There is an audition process for the majority of our ensembles. I believe the only non-audition ensemble is our men's choir. Other than that, if you would like to be a part of any of our choirs or ensembles, you will audition at the beginning of the year. And you do have to audition every year in order to remain within that group. It sounds a little scary, but our music faculty are excellent. And for those of you who are interested in music, whether for a major or a non-major, we are planning a music department Q&A session, so keep an eye out on our website for that date and time. Okay, you guys, well, it is just about 5 o'clock, but I think we can stay on for a couple more minutes to answer any last minute questions that you have. I'm gonna go back to the loop right here, and let's do this view right here. This is a fun one. This is the outside of Oliver Hall where we were earlier. But if you have any questions, now would be an excellent time to submit them while we have Maria and Hannah here today. I'll give you just a couple minutes to submit any questions that you have. While we're waiting, oh, here we go. Here's a question. Hannah, this is probably a good question for you. What is the weather like in Spokane as a Spokane native? What would you say?
So Spokane has a good, strong 4 seasons, which is one of my favorite parts about the weather. They sometimes we get some unexpected weather, like sometimes in March we'll get a snowstorm or two. So Spokane keeps it exciting, but in general we do have the 4 seasons.
Great, thank you. I love the weather in Spokane, and I'm originally from Tucson, Arizona, where it was just summer all the time. So I loved the 4 seasons, like Hannah mentioned. Okay, here we go. Here are some questions. Are there any requirements for first year students? Maybe you could talk about first year seminar. Maria, would you mind talking about that?
Yeah, so every single freshman coming into Whitworth, we are required to take first year seminar. So it's typically with your advisor, and it's typically with other students that are in the same major as you. So it's a great way for you to get in touch with them. So it's another way to build community. As Quincy mentioned, is very important to us. And it's a great way for you to get to know your advisor a little bit more. And for my first year seminar class, we kind of read a book based on like college. So like learning how to study and different things like that. So that's just one of the requirements that we as freshmen are required to take.
Great, thank you. And for transfer students, there is something similar for a transfer seminar class. Now, transfer students, we talked about the core program earlier and how all students are required to take those 3 courses. As a transfer student, you only have to take 1 of those. We have some questions coming in about freshman orientation or first year orientation, and if there's any updates on that and when it's going to be. Right now, we are planning full speed ahead for move-in to be on Saturday, September 5th, and for classes to start on the 9th. We will be in communication with you if anything changes. You can also go onto our website, whitworth.edu, and type in orientation, and there will be some additional information for you there. It might still be last year's information since we're working on that program for you now, but that will be a great place to keep an eye on. But rest assured, we will send you a lot of emails when we know more details about that. All right, what are some fun activities to do around Spokane?
So I think it just really depends on what you are interested in. So I went with the Whitworth Outdoors program, and we went hiking for the whole morning in Idaho for $5. So again, very inexpensive, but that's just one little thing to do if you want to be active, or you can go with a group of friends. It just really depends what you're interested in doing. You can even go bowling and stuff, which is what I like to do, or go get frozen yogurt. So it just depends what you're interested in doing.
Hannah, what about you?
So Spokane, like their little city motto was near nature, near perfect, which Maria talked about a little bit. We're close to a lot of really, really beautiful nature, a lot of really pretty mountains. We're close to lakes. So there's always that option if you want to go hiking or swimming or whatever it is. I also really love the downtown area because it kind of has it definitely, I would say, has the city feel with an arts community and really good food too. There's a really, I would say, a booming food culture in downtown Spokane.
I agree. We have excellent local restaurants and coffee shops. And one thing that I really love about Spokane is how it's we really support local businesses, especially during this time. But I think Spokane is the perfect mix of a big city with a small town. We don't have any traffic here, which is great. So those of you who are from Seattle or Portland or Phoenix, wherever you're coming from, you will just no more sweating it out in traffic. But we're also, if you're downtown, you're 15 minutes from a trailhead. We have 76 lakes and rivers within the Spokane area, 5 ski and snowboarding resorts. So hopefully there's an activity that you can have, that you can find joy in on campus. Looks like the last question that came in, and then we will let you guys go enjoy your weekend, is if there's a place to keep a mountain bike on campus. Do you guys want to answer that question?
I have never had a mountain bike. I will confess that I never learned how to ride a bike, so I'm probably not the person that this question would see.
That's okay. I'll answer it. So in some of the residence halls in Baldwin Jenkins and in Stewart, there are bike racks indoors. However, there is a storage unit, and it's usually in the basement of every residence hall. Maria's nodding her head. Yes, thanks, Maria, where you can store your mountain bike. Our recreation center and our outdoor rec center might have storage space for you as well. Okay, I'll answer this last question as well. Is there transportation for students to get to and from the airport? The answer is yes. Whitworth does provide shuttle services to help students get to and from the airport, train station, or a bus station. Whitworth also gives a bus pass to all of our students. So we won't personally transport students downtown to the mall or to grocery stores, but you can use the Spokane public transportation system for that. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for your questions. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Maria. Go ahead and raise your hand in appreciation for these two for their time and showing you around campus today. I hope you guys have an excellent weekend. If you have any questions from here on out, maybe a question pops in your mind 20 minutes from now, you can email us at admissions@whitworth.edu, and we would love to answer your questions. We hope to see you in person as soon as possible. Have a great weekend and go Pirates. Bye, you guys.